What is up, my friends, and welcome to the UFL Week In Review, one of the longest-running UFL podcasts in human history. I'm your host, Mark Perry, bringing you everything you need to know in just 2 days before the United Football League's eagerly anticipated kickoff on March 30th. This week, we dive deep into how Fox and RedBird crafted the UFL, top-tier broadcasting teams coming from Fox. The inaugural season, we'll explore the gambling aspects of it. We have our picks. We have DFS. We also have news about Danny Garcia's show that's coming out. ESPN has got a weekly recap show. We've got a special announcement about my wife's and my charity event. People have been asking us, you know my wife's story, and it's been about like, well, what can we do to help? We've got that, plus all sorts of news going on with the UFL. And we are just 2 days from kickoff, plus some special announcements in the notes section. So without further ado, this is an action-packed episode. Let's get into it.
USFL is in business. The XFL is underway.
There's no doubt spring just got stronger.
This was a really interesting article that came out from Business Journal's Ben Fischer. He had an interesting piece regarding the United Football League. He talks to Fox Sports CEO Eric Shanks and RedBird Capital founder and managing partner Jerry Cardinale about how they came together to form the UFL. The article goes into lots of detail. So first, the genesis of the United Football League. The decision was made during a dinner between Fox Sports CEO Eric Shanks and RedBird Capital Partners founder. And that dinner would become transformational decision in the landscape of the American Football League ethos, because so basically it says by last July, a merged league was so clearly the right move that Cardinale and Shanks agreed to a deal over a single red wine infused dinner just days after the USFL championship game. So that is very interesting that they basically agreed to do this. So they were already talking before the USFL championship. They were probably talking even before that. We kind of thought maybe it was after the season during the summer, but no, these guys started talking after the USFL championship. They agreed days after the USFL championship. They agreed in July to merge the league, and that was kept under wraps for quite some time. The path to merger was kind of interesting. They discussed bidding together, so RedBird discussed bidding together. Fox and RedBird discussed bidding together to buy Vince McMahon's XFL out of bankruptcy, but RedBird decided to did the deal for about $15 million with Dwayne Johnson and Danny Garcia. Then Fox kind of pursued its own strategy, buying the property of the old USFL and rushing it to market to beat the XFL by playing its first game on April 22nd. The XFL launched later that year. So they decided initially they considered doing it together to buy the XFL, but then they kind of went their own paths for whatever reason. They took different routes, but it was very quickly became clear that they were going to work together. What's interesting is that so they already had a relationship before the acquisition of, clearly they were talking, they know each other. So it was very easy for them to then later on merge together because they've already built that. And that ecos, that level sphere of network and executives is very small. So clearly they all know each other. On the United front, it's not against the XFL versus USFL. They were talking about something different. The merger symbolizes a strategy against a common competitor, which is the overcrowded second quarter of sports and entertainment schedule. Shanks said, everybody has to understand that our competition wasn't between the USFL and XFL when we merged. Our competition is everything else in the second quarter. Thought that was a very interesting thing. Also, I want to point out that the sports merger between ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery about having their own platform for streaming sports, which is supposed to come next year, they did that because they have to go against the Netflix and the Amazon. So it's interesting now that once we were enemies and now we need to be partners because the new common enemy is, Netflix, Apple, and Amazon. And so they're trying to stay, relevant in the cable world. So now they're merging together. I think having the UFL as a property, I think the fact that they're merging together bodes well even more so for the United Football League, because that's a property that makes a lot of sense for them, that they don't have to pay these outrageous fees for, the MLSs of the world or, even 5 or 6, tier sports things, that they own it. So they can make money off of it as well as broadcast it, and it fills slots for them as well. This is going to be a very interesting season. They said on the merger cornerstone principles, Shanks elaborated on synergies between Fox and RedBird. They love that word, but basically they could pull services from each other. So we're actually providing services to the league. So the league itself is more profitable until it stands on its own 2 feet. If it ever does, Shanks said, you may always get market help from Fox. You may always get sponsorship help from RedBird. That might be the right model going forward. We're starting on second and third base with this thing because the infrastructure RedBird and Fox have, and the media expertise from ESPN and Fox. So that, again, we talk about this all the time. You can't get any better than these guys. Aside from like Netflix or Amazon just creating their own football league, which just for streaming, I don't think they would do that. This is kind of your best shot. Now, Jerry Cardinale comments on the league's financial health, which underscores the confidence that it is self-sufficient. And Cardinale said that the league is very self-sufficient from a capital standpoint and would not, on its face, need more strategic involvement from potential new investors. That is a good sign. We've heard them talking about having potential investors. I think now that they've merged together, he's basically saying from a capital standpoint, we don't need to do that. But it may be open for local investors, a la MLS style owner-operator arrangement, something that he has always talked about with the XFL. Now, I want to drop this in. So we've heard from our sources that teams like the St. Louis Battlehawk and DC Defenders could fetch a couple $100 million. Those are what those franchises are worth at this point. That's if the league has a good first and second season. I think we're definitely in for one. Clearly we're in for one, and we're going to have a second season. Mike Mitchell agrees too. After that is going to be kind of murky. Now, while other markets could be running in the 50 to 75 million. That's what I've been hearing from my sources, that's what the teams are valued at right now. Of course, this depends on how the league does, of course, in the next couple of years. We've also heard for some time that Memphis Showboats could be owned by FedEx founder Fred Smith, who was influential in bringing the team to the USFL. Now, Cardinale for a long time wanted to model the XFL, now UFL, like Major League Soccer, and believes that league, the UFL, could be bigger than Major League Soccer. They've already had in 2019, David Tepper acquired the Charlotte MLS franchise for approximately $350 million. To give you an idea, he's thinking that the St. Louis Battlehawks, potential DC Defenders, could fetch in that range. That's kind of 200, 300, 400 million dollar range. Those the top tier franchises of the league, where the other ones are a lower, be lower on that 50 to 75 million. But if you're like a Fred Smith and you drop 50 million on the Memphis Showboats, and this league is successful, in 5 years that 50 million could be worth 200 or 300 million. If you think about how the valuation of all these franchises keep going up, and especially now that the trends has changed. Now in 20 years, are these going to continue to go up in price? I don't know. Kids are not really watching sports. There's a whole other thing. But as of right now, so this is what RedBird Capital and Fox are in. Fox is in it for the content for their channel. They're not selling where, you see, you've heard Disney kind of maybe selling off bits and pieces. Fox is in the game, and they know over-the-air broadcast is going to be huge for this league. And I think they're really just banking on just having that on Fox and ABC to really generate interest in the league and not doing all this kind of schmoozy marketing stuff in the beginning. There's, because of the staff being kind of small at this point. So the emphasis on corroboration between Fox and Disney, the pursuit of sustainability is well thought, established USFL as a significant player in American sports. It'll be a major test to see if these two entities can make it work. Another thing I wanted to point out in this, where did I put that? I talked about the streaming services, that they were never going to compete. That's basically it. I thought there was some other piece in here that I wanted to kind of touch on. But that's kind of where you have it with the league. It was a very interesting article by Ben Fischer. I could interview those guys, but clearly they would never talk to me. But it was a very insight into the formation of the United Football League and the birth of the United Football League over some glasses of wine and two guys that have already were talking about partnering back a couple years ago, finally deciding, okay, now is the time to pull the trigger and let's join forces. And now we get to see it all to fruition in just a couple days on March 30th. Fox Sports unveils its broadcast team for the UFL season. We've been kind of waiting. So you got Kirk Menefee, Joe Klatt headlines the Fox UFL line, headline Fox UFL lineup. Kevin Kugler, Mark Sanchez, Brock Hewitt, veteran of all of this broadcasting. Devin Gardner and Jake Butt round out stout Fox UFL broadcasting roster. Of course, they will be back. They'll also have Fox Deportes. They talk about the technology, sky cam, helmet cams, all this kind of stuff. And the popular Megalodon. Also, I wonder if they're going to have the drones. That was kind of their thing. I've heard Daryl Moose Johnston talk about miking the players. They'll be able to listen to the coaches, referees, all sorts of stuff. So Fox announces their broadcast group. Fox has got a lot of games on their network, which is great. So I'm glad to have Kurt Menefee back with the UFL, and then he was with the XFL, and Joe Klatt, great group of guys. And it'd be interesting to see. Now we've got all the broadcasters. Now it's just time to watch the games. ESPN is launching a weekly UFL show. Remember, they did that with the XFL last year. Well, this year they're doing something a little bit different. It's called UFL Today, led by signature multi-platform host Daniel Dopp and Scooby Mageza, fan of the UFL News Hub. Will bring fans the top moments from the weekend with expert insight and analysis, as well as conversations with players and coaches across the league. UFL Today will be available every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern across ESPN's YouTube, Facebook, and ESPN app, in most cases following the last game of the weekend. So they have been around before. Scooby was with us last year, doing a pregame show. I guess they were, and this is what's nice. They were like, the pregame show was okay, but maybe let's do a postgame show. So they will definitely have a show this week, and it'll be very cool to have that there on ESPN. Again, more this partnership with ESPN and Fox. Now they have a show. It's only streaming on ESPN. So, but that's definitely a show that I'm definitely going to watch every Sunday, because you always love a kind of good recap show. So now that will be on ESPN's at 6:30 p.m. on Sunday, UFL Today. All right, my friends, I always get a lot of everybody knows the story, or if you don't know the story with my wife, Dawn, on February 17th, I took my wife down to the ER thinking she had a bad case of the flu. 3 weeks later, we learned she had a blood cancer. She has a blood cancer called multiple melanoma. A lot of famous people have died from it. Colin Powell was somebody that I named that I had recently heard that he had passed away from it. But other people are still living with it now. Basically, 10, 15 years ago, you were lucky if you got 5 years. Now with all the modern technology and medicine, it seems that it's more of a treatable thing. So, and we've always do this whole process with friends, family, you guys on social media or follow us, we just always ask you for prayers. And a lot of people reached out and said, hey, if there's anything we could do, we would love, just to help you guys or whatever. And so, she's 48. Now she's 49. She just had a birthday. Healthy, vibrant person. She spent 2 weeks in the hospital. One over the course of the 2 weeks, included 1 full week in ICU. She was giving 3 life-saving blood transfusions. She was on the cusp of not being here. It was that bad. Her sodium levels was low. It was one of the lowest that the ER doctor had ever seen. And usually when it was that low, it wasn't a good outcome for people, but she is, through God's grace, and she is a healthy person. She's been able to bounce back. She feels a lot better now. People have asked during that whole time, well, what can we do to help? Well, now is your chance. So we have started something we call Win with the DC Defenders. Every victory brings life. So what are we doing here? So when the DC Defenders battle it out on the season for the UFL season, join us on a mission on the field, a mission to save lives through blood donations. That's right. For every DC Defenders home win, we pledge to donate blood, and you can join us too. So here's how the different levels that you can join us. So first, there's 3 levels that you can participate in this. First, level 1. All we ask is you donate blood once during the UFL season, and you will receive a special Defenders for Life sticker. That's right. So we have a logo It's called Defenders for Life because it's about the DC Defenders, and it's also about saving lives as well. If you are level 2, you can donate blood at the beginning of the UFL season and at the end of the USFL season. If you do that, you will receive a Defenders for Life socks as a thank you. My wife loves nice warm socks, so we have socks there. If you are totally gangster level, this is level 3. I got to fix that. Commit to donating blood for every DC Defenders home win, and we will send you a Defenders for Life t-shirt. That's right. No obligation to you. We have unveiled a series of logo designs for our campaign, so we ask you to get out there and vote on 1, 2, 3, or 4 about the logos for this, and we'll put this out on social media as well. This is the logo about Defenders for Life that we use. So why are we doing this? Of course, I'm the editor of News Hub, UFL News Hub. I've been a voice in the spring football scene since 2018 when Vince McMahon first announced it, and then the AAF. So this is the battle against multiple melanoma, and it's not only, of course, a personal thing for me, but I have to do something. My wife and I have to do something other than just sitting around being like, yeah, this sucks, and we just need to get through it. We got to take something negative and turn it into positive. I think that is what God has put us on in this path and this season to do. So we're rallying everybody around the football community to support the cause. And not only was, giving blood is something that is technically easy to do, but is so life-saving and so important. There was times in the hospital where my wife had to wait a couple hours because the blood supply is really low. So where can you give? You go to the American Red Cross donation center near you. We just need proof. Already have people messaging me. I haven't even put this out there yet. That's how awesome you guys are. Have been messaging me, info@uflnewshub.com, and have let me know what they're doing. They've sent me their receipts that they signed up. So just some kind of proof. That's all I need is some kind of proof. And just let me know that you're interested in doing it. I would love to hear your backstory of why you're interested in doing it. According to the Red Cross, you can only donate 6 times a year. That's why I was going to do it after every DC Defender win. I will go every Monday but apparently you can't. You must wait 8 weeks, which is basically 2 months, before you can do donations. That's why we have level 1. Just do it once this season. We'll send you a sticker. Level 2, you do it at the beginning of the season and you do it at the end of the season, and we'll send you some socks. And then if you're gangster level, like I will be doing, my mom is like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I'm like, "Yes, I don't care. I will do it." I mean, that's the thing is you can only do it every 2 months. So you just do it every 2 months until the end of the year. DC Defenders are basically undefeated at home, knock on wood, since they have inception. I expect them to be undefeated now because that is 5 blood donations, and you can only give, as a human being, 6 blood donations throughout the year. I was already going to give one. I was like, oh, I got to wait. Because we got that home game coming up. So the process takes about an hour and 15 minutes. You actually donate a pint. The whole donating part is about 8 to 10 minutes. So email us, info@UFL News Hub, as well as a couple other little tidbits I wanted to throw out there for Defender Nation. If you participate in the Audi Beer Snake section, but just wait a couple days. You can't go on Monday. All of our games are on Sunday. It'd probably be a good idea to wait a couple days and filter out the adult beverages that you've consumed because, we don't want that blood that's, full of alcohol because you were in the beer snake section. Also, number 2, lemons are encouraged to consume after giving blood, get that sugar going there. So you got your lemons and you got your beer snake, you're good to go there. So just email us. We have a full schedule. The DC Defenders schedules online. For more information, just contact me, info@UFL News Hub. Again, win with the DC Defenders. Every victory brings life. It's more than a campaign. It's a community coming together for a cause that extends beyond spring football. Inspired by my wife's story, let each victory on the field be a victory for life. Donate blood, support the cause, and wear your participation as a badge of honor. Together, we can make a difference. And of course, I found a good Bible verse, Acts 20:35. In everything I did, I showed you that by this kind of hard work, we must help the weak. Remembering the words of the Lord Jesus himself said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. So give blood. I thought that was a good Bible verse that gives me chills, brother, to explain everything that is there. So I appreciate you. Hey, Everybody has been affected. Everybody's had people in the hospital sick, and blood is a big thing. And there's always kind of not a lot out there, and people forget. I thought you could donate a lot more blood than just once. I thought you could do it every week. So once every other. So that shows you like the gangster levels out there. And shout out to you people out there that I'm probably for the rest of my life going to donate 6 times a year just because of that experience. I mean, my wife was low, and that basically saved her life, is people who donated blood, brothers and sisters like you out there who donated blood. And so far, I already got people, and we'll talk about them later on in the show, but have already reached out to me and saying that they're going to do it, and it's their first time doing it. So this is what it is. We'll have more on social media. Follow us on UFL News Hub social media. You'll see me. I will take pictures every time I go. I will be at the games, and DC Defenders. Now it's in your court, DC Defenders and DC Defenders Nation. 5 wins is 5 donations of blood, and that's a huge thing. So just join me, and yeah, you get a little swag on the side too. So again, thank you everyone that will participate in this, and I mean, absolutely, God bless to all of you. Appreciate it. All right, my friends, now is the time to make some money off of UFL Week 1 betting odds. So we have a page up on UFL News Hub. Every week it will be updated with the latest spreads, betting lines, etc. We also have, you can play Pick'em on News Hub Fantasy as well, and play fantasy football on News Hub Fantasy. But these are my picks every week. Somebody, I followed the league, I know the players, and we're going to track it all season long, see how we do there. So some key points. Clearly, it's the season kicks off March 30th and 31st. Remember, Saturday and Sunday games. DraftKings lists St. Louis as the top favorite against Michigan, and DC and San Antonio are expected to be the highest scoring game. First game, of course, is Birmingham Stallions and Arlington Renegades. So what I'm going to do every week is I'm going to go through each section. And I was like, I mean, in the past, I've done like fancy graphics and, all this kind of, it's taken me 20 minutes to do. I'm just keeping it simple, bros. I just got a Word doc, or not even a Word doc, a Google Doc that I put it in. So all of these lines are here on the website that you can go check out. But let's take a point. Oh, and also I wanted to point out that some of this stuff, like I don't understand. If you don't understand like the basics, I put in the basics of betting: point spread, total, money line, the over under. What does it mean? I also put in there, also like a kind of explanation. I got some terms in there too, where you can learn like what the different terms mean. Push and spread and all this kind of stuff. So it's all on the page, and it's all in the navigation. You just go to UFL odds. All right. So now to my fancy graphic about the games this week. One of the things I want to point out is I don't care what the over under is. I'm picking the under in every game. I have last year's XFL schedule, and you could see Arlington Renegades Vegas was 42. This one was 45. St. Louis and San Antonio, 18 and 15. So that's 33, I think, right? Something like that, right? 20 plus 1 is 30. Yeah, 33. DC was about 40. The thing is, I think that usually the first week or two, it's the offenses, and even in the NFL season, it takes a little while for the offenses to get going. I don't expect huge monster games, throwing up 60 points. I think that's going to occur later on in the season. I think the first week or two, I mean, these guys are, some of the teams like Birmingham is it's the first time, like Birmingham's been solid. A lot of these teams have been together, but other teams, there's a lot of turnover. DC Defenders, they don't have Abram Smith. Their wide receivers are different. Houston Roughnecks is not the Houston Roughnecks of last year. Memphis Showboats have a new coach. And, San Antonio has a new coach. So it's all just kind of a mixture, hodgepodge together. So I'm just playing it safe. So for all the games, I have just picking the under. But here are my picks. I've got Birmingham to cover the spread. I think Birmingham will get more than 30.5 points. I think Arlington, even though they won the championship, to me, they're still Arlington during the regular season, even though they have Luis Perez there. I still think Birmingham is one of the top teams in the league. So I think Birmingham will have an easy time. They've been around. their championship. I think they're going to want to prove something and just kind of beat up on Arlington. So I got Birmingham to cover the spread, and on the money line, I'm picking Birmingham. Battlehawks, Michigan Panthers. I feel like Michigan Panthers could be one of the worst teams in the league. St. Louis is one of the top, if not the top two. Birmingham Stallions, probably Battlehawks is number 2. I am even with 6.5 points. I'm still going with St. Louis, taking the under, and of course St. Louis with the money line. DC Defenders, San Antonio Brahmas, still going with DC. They're 6-point favorites. I think they'll have no problem. This could be a game that could go the over. I just don't know yet. I think San Antonio is going to be a lot better than we think. Wade Phillips, AJ Smith as the offensive coordinator. This one I'm kind of worried about, but I don't know what DC's offense is going to look like. Their defense is stacked. That's why I think the Brahmas will have problems in the beginning. So I'm going with DC on this one. And remember, DC was a class team last year. Their defense is a heck of a lot better. Their offense, we'll see with wide receiver how that they would do. On my upset special, I think the Memphis Showboats are going to be a lot better. Case Cookus is a guy. Darius Victor is a guy. And this is close. They have Houston because they're at home. I think Memphis is going to take the win, so I'm taking the points. They're taking Memphis to win, and of course, I'm taking the under. My parlay of picks this week, I'm just taking money line. St. Louis, DC, Memphis is my parlay. You can do those too. So those are my picks there, and then we'll have this nice sheet. It just makes it so much easier. And then every week we'll kind of tally things up and go from there. But definitely take a look at the schedule of the past of the XFL and USFL schedule, and you can kind of see how things kind of played out. That's not huge scoring games, and I'm applying that same methodology to here also with the the NFL is kind of the same way too. As far as my DraftKings lineup, I mean, you guys got like Jordan Ta'amu, AJ McCarron as quarterbacks, Matt Corral and Jamar Smith. Again, they could be splitting things. Luis Perez, I love Luis. Is he going to throw 350 yards and run for 100 or 50 yards? No, but AJ McCarron, Jordan Ta'amu are guys can do. We have to see how EJ Perry and Jared Guarantano do as far as their teams. And then, of course, San Antonio, we got to see what there is. Going with the quarterback. I'm going with the safe bet. Memphis Showboats. I think Case Cookus will be a guy this year. Darius Victor will also be a guy this year. So I am picking those two on my lineups. Hakeem Butler for St. Louis. San Antonio, Javon Kirkland. He was probably one of the best wide receivers last year. He's going to be in AJ Smith's offense. You know they're going to feature him as well. He should be back 100% from his injury. And Mateo Durant from St. Louis is another guy because I feel like St. Louis will be able to put up some points. I have Memphis. I threw another guy in there, Dawood Davis, as kind of a low-end tier, and, of course, the DC Defenders defense. So all of this is on DraftKings as well. So you have your picks. I got my parlay in there and my DFS lineup. Get in there and go now. Place your bets. Have some fun. Just put a couple bucks on it. You don't need to, mortgage the, your house for this stuff, but it's just a lot of fun. Adds a little more intrigue. Aside from fantasy football from News Hub Fantasy, that you can, and we'll do this every single week, giving you the picks. Hopefully you can win a little bit of money.
Hey, football fans! Just because the NFL season has wrapped doesn't mean the thrill of fantasy football has to end. Introducing NewsHubFantasy.com, your year-round fantasy football haven. Dive into the action with the United Football League and Canadian Football League. Whether it's the UFL's dynamic plays or the CFL's strategic battles, we've got you covered with fantasy leagues and weekly pick'em games that keep the competition fierce and the stakes high, all season long. Best of all, it's absolutely free. Join existing leagues to challenge the community, or create private leagues to compete with friends. With NewsHubFantasy.com, the game never stops. Strategy, camaraderie, and the chase for fantasy football glory continues beyond the NFL, bringing you closer to the sport you love every day. Don't sit on the sidelines. Visit NewsHubFantasy.com today, sign up for free, and keep your fantasy football season going. Because here, the game never ends. NewsHubFantasy.com, where football fantasy lives all year round.
All right, we were back in our news and notes section. Lots of things I want to get to. First off, shout out to Eric. He messaged me and said he's got his appointment all set. He's never donated blood before, but he's part of that. I want to appreciate Eric and all of you. Send me, remember, info@ UFL News Hub. Send me I just want to know your story. That's all. Maybe we'll compile it into an article. I don't know what we're going down, but just shoot me an email. Let me know if you're going to participate. Also, speaking of participation, breaking down barriers. If you want me to appear on your podcast, I don't care who you are, just shoot me a message, info@ UFL News Hub. I will be appearing at Spring Stock online. I'm here in Maryland. I actually won't be in attendance because of everything that's been going on, but I will be on Spring Stock with the Ref and Zach on the UFL podcast live. Yes. The merging, if the XFL and USFL merge, we're going to be on there because, we are a community that we need to build this community and make it bigger. And there's no animosity. Competition is good. James Larson is great. They have a lot of great writers over on Pro Football News, PF Newsroom. UFL Board. Greg Parks is a great writer. You got Reed's podcast now up on whatever that is, Alton Sports now. It's not, you got Mike Mitchell, Anthony Miller over there. And we just need to grow this community. It's just rising tide sinks what rises the ship or whatever that whole thing is. So I will be appearing on there. So you want to check it out. Just, keep up to date on social media, and I'll shoot out there when I'm live. So I'm excited to be on there and talk to them about UFL stuff. We've met at the USFL championship game a couple of years back. So I'm excited to be there. I plan on being at games. It just all depends on the financial situation. You know that there's no ads on the site. And also, I just want to point out, so we're just kind of seeing how that goes this year. So I am just basically took a loan and we're just rolling with the dice here. So we'll see what happens there because life is just so interesting. Talk about $7 in your pocket. That's me. Also, News Hub Fantasy up and rolling. We have our listener league. Probably if you want to be part of our DraftKings league as well, email me our podcast at UFL News Hub. And if you want to be part of our DraftKings league, we can do a weekly bet with DraftKings of all people from here. That's a lot of fun. We have our listener league on News Hub Fantasy. Our draft is tonight. I spent a long time the last couple of days tweaking that draft engine because it's really kind of the most important thing that everybody does in fantasy. And then they kind of tail off after the first couple of weeks. But it was running perfectly on my machine. And people were sending me these weird messages. And I'm like, that makes no sense. What do you mean? I can't pick anything. And so I've tweaked it, tested it. Seems to be working good. It is very complicated to do a draft because it's one thing that you could do on your laptop, but it's another thing when it's on a server and you have thousands of people trying to draft at the same time and keeping that clock associated with that draft room and that pick. And then there's threading. So things are moving through the stack where, on my laptop, it's moving correctly, but then on the server, it's not. It's been kind of crazy to figure out. But we have that. We have pick'em games too. Everything throughout the season, we're going to enhance. I've submitted, I believe, in the next 24 hours, you will be able to download the UFL News Hub app as well for Android. We're going to keep adding on to it. If you have any suggestions, things you want to see, I want to put scores and all sorts of other stuff on there. But we're just going to continue to just add on top of that. And every time I add something to it, I'll submit it to Apple. And maybe one day I'll get some Apple person. If you work for Apple, I don't understand. I have a lot of here's my thing with Apple. I love you, Apple. Well, your closed ecosystem, you're behind the times when it comes to AI. Siri sucks. And I don't know. I'm an Android person. I'm a Microsoft guy, and I'm not an Apple guy. I think Apple's a little overrated, whatever. But I have a lot of crappy Apple apps. This one is good. You can sign up and get notifications. You could change the background. It's got all the articles on there. It's a good app compared to what I was able to put out there before. And they're just not approving it for the same thing. They're like, well, they can just read this stuff online. What's the difference? I'm like, well, ESPN does the same thing. So I'm going to try to add more features. that will always get deployed on the Android version. And then every time I add features, I'm going to deploy it to Apple, and maybe one day they'll approve it, but there's no ads on that either. So there's no ads on the website. There's no ads on the phone. Working deals behind the scenes. We'll have to kind of see how everything transpires. So yes, so I'll be on Spring Stock. And if you want me to be on your podcast, just message me, podcast at UFL News Hub. More than happy to join you. Now that my schedule, things have been we're kind of crazy. It's going to be crazy season, but Tuesday or Wednesday, I can hop on for 20 or 30 minutes and have a chit chat. I don't care who it is. And I'm there basically, one of the things, I want to talk about the UFL, but I wanted there to, my selfish reasons, is to promote what we're doing with DC Defenders and News Hub Fantasy. But I also want to talk to other fans and see you guys out at games, et cetera, et cetera. Those are the couple things I want. We've got emails. We've got phone call too coming up as well. I think those are the things I wanted to cover. Let me see here. Yeah, I think that's it so far. Okay, on to some other news. ESPN tonight. My name is Danny Garcia. She is not the chairwoman, or she's the chairwoman. I don't know. She's just the owner. They've said now she's the owner. So ESPN will debut My Name is Danny Garcia, intimate and captivating documentary that spotlights the journey of visionary businesswoman Danny Garcia. They talk about her. They got The Rock. They got their daughter on there. She was on Good Morning America talking about it, all the different brands that she's doing, and being a chairwoman, founder, investor, producer, all sorts of things. And she's a player, man. She knows her stuff. So there's exclusive, stuff behind the scenes. So they're doing that. That is tonight on My Name is Danny Garcia. It's on ESPN2, I believe. And then it'll be on the streaming apps. But that's 10 p.m. tonight. If you want to check that out, I'm super looking forward to it. Big fan of Danny Garcia as a father to 5 girls. That's right, 5 girls, blended family, 5 girls, 1 boy. I like to see this kind of stuff, and she is one of the main reasons why The Rock is so famous. So that is something definitely you want to check out as a UFL fan. So we can learn some companies we're interested in the UFL partnerships. We've got let's see down here. So we've got Gatorade joined the thing. Molson Coors beverage company. They got the hard seltzers, which I think are kind of like or is it the Bud Light seltzers are bad? I don't know if I've had the Coors seltzers yet. I'm gluten-free, and I don't really drink alcohol. I'm just not a big drinker. Do like to have occasional, have some fun. But Michael Strahan, we know about him. Progressive Insurance, hey, if I buy a house in Florida, Progressive Insurance, or even in Florida, shout out to my friends in Florida. Terramana Tequila, always buy my friends free. If they are drinkers, I always get them Terramana. Of course, Under Armour. CBD Kraton, that's right, CBD edibles, creams, pet treats. They are with 60 retail locations. They're a part of it. Westgate Resorts, they were part of the XFL last year. And of course, ZOA, those are the partners. That came out a little while ago. They also have this Bolt 6. They are going to be part of things. They're cutting edge true line technology into UFL games. They're with the precision ball spotting. They were part of it last year. So they are part of the UFL this season. And then also Stallions named their senior director of team and business events. They're adding people. Welcome aboard, David Martin. He is the senior director of team business and event operations for the Birmingham Stallions. He was director of club marketing during the 2023 UFL season based at the Canton, Ohio hub. So now he moves over there. So congratulations to him. Been part of baseball and all sorts of stuff. So that's kind of what's going on with behind the scenes. I'm sure we'll get more stuff, but we're only a couple days away from kickoff. Super excited there. As far as emails go, let's see here for the emails. Chuck says, if the league wants to win an audience, do not fix games like the NFL does for their partnerships with FanDuel and DraftKings. A ton of upsets will lose a fan base in no time at all. Yes, Chuck, with the tinfoil hat, fix games. It's not fix games. Don checking in. He says, call my friend. I woke up to the strangest dream. I dreamt that the NFL, that old stodgy league, decided to adopt a version of the XFL kickoff. The one that has a much higher rate of returns, the one that has fewer injuries. Meanwhile, the new innovative UFL is using an old style kickoff that is dull as HE double hockey sticks. Maybe I can wake up from this dream next year and both leagues will be using the better option. Looking forward to the weekend. I am praying that your wife is getting stronger and stronger. Thank you, Don, for checking in. And yes, she is. Appreciate your prayers, everybody's prayers about my wife. Yeah, I was wondering about this. Reed of the Marcast had a great interview with Daryl Moose Johnson. We wrote about it here, asked him about the kickoff. And we talked about it here, where it's like, well, what if the NFL adopts the kickoff? I didn't think they would do it, but they're actually doing it. I think it's a little bit different but typically the same thing. And he mentioned that, hey, they will go back to it next year. So I think there's been some decisions, the Houston Roughnecks versus the Houston Gamblers, based on the ticket sales. I don't really think it matters, but they like that IP. And really the kickoff thing was kind of a wonky decision now that they're not doing it. So it is what it is. These guys are learning now that they're come together. One of the things he had talked about is they'd been only together for 60 days. He was in one, I don't know if it was that interview or another interview, because I always try to listen to all the interviews, but coming full circle, that this will be the first time that they actually have a full season to kind of go over all the rules and, get to know each other and all this kind of stuff. It'll be nice to have an off season for the first time where there isn't any other thing other than the off season, and potentially more teams being added, which is something that's been out there that I've been able to kind of confirm that, the potential of 2 new teams next year, that it is a thing. If you've heard that rumor, that part of the agreement was that, they would start the season with 8 teams and then maybe bump up to 12 at another point, that is a thing. So the question is, which teams is really up for debate. But those, I'm going to drop some fun stuff that I know that I might not have known anywhere else. I'll put that on Spring Stock just to tease you guys of what I've got coming there. All right, let's get to a phone call.
Hey, Mark, how you doing? Just want to say, I will tell you this. I think the biggest winner right now for the USFL by just not doing anything, as far as like how the NFL basically banned tackling, or how a lot of us like fans who just love all football leagues year round. All I'm saying is if the UFL just simply does not do what the NFL did, I could see by like 2026, 2027, the UFL becoming known as the league that still allows you to hit people. Not like in a crazy way, like the last couple of years between the XFL and USFL, they've kind of got that. Even back during the AAF days, I remember seeing highlights where they were like, holy cow, this would get you kicked out of a game in the NFL. So, like, I kind of see, like, as long as the UFL just simply doesn't copy the NFL, I could see where we're looking at 2026, 2027, or even, like, 2025, where we're like, hey, the ratings are just going to go off the chart, or at least increase dramatically, because the UFL will be known as the league that you can still hit people in. And I think that will draw a huge chunk of for a lot of people, because like when I see the backlash right now that the NFL is having with the whole, like, hey, basically you can't tackle anymore. I mean, I know I'm oversimplifying that drastically, but I just see this as a huge one for the UFL. Like, they just don't copy the NFL on that. They'll be known as the league that you can hit people, and I think that will incredibly help our ratings in the years to come, and help make the league even more and more attractive to maybe people that weren't interested in the UFL in the past. What do you think? Maybe I'm overreacting too much. Just like to know your thoughts. Hope you're having a great day. God bless, and keep up the great work at the podcast.
Hey, I appreciate the phone call. Remember, you can call us 888-430-7692 extension 3, or you can email us your stuff at podcast UFL News Hub. The hits thing, like, to me, like, I remember growing up watching Jacked Up. Remember, they were like, Jacked Up. And I was like, that was awesome. And then there was all these brain injuries, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I get what you're saying, but I when I see some hits and stuff like that, I'm like, oh gosh, this guy like is gonna kill his wife when he's in his 50s because of the brain injury stuff. So I get what they're trying to do to make it more safer. Do you need to see guys getting blown up? But does some things, and that's what's the beauty. What I think I like about the UFL better than the NFL is they can reverse anything. I mean, Dean Blandino's up in the booth, and he can just be like, you know what, that really wasn't that bad of a hit. Let's just reverse it. And I think that is what is going to sell the UFL when it comes to that kind of stuff is because just get the call right. I don't care. Use AI. Can't wait till robots are out there calling plays. Can you imagine there's going to be, hopefully in our lifetime, there'll be a Major League Baseball game where some dumb old, manager is going to run out and kick dirt on a robot, and the robot's going to zap him with like some like shocker, like zzz, get out, go back to your thing. I just get it right. My whole thing is just get the call right. That's all I care about. Just get the call right. So as far as the hits go, as far as the ratings go, I reached out to our main man, Mike Mitchell of Atheon Sports, not Sports Illustrated, whatever. There's all sorts of drama going on over there. He's got a great article about, his predictions about TV ratings. I've reached out to him. Do you think they're going to give you the ratings? Everything has kind of changed in the television landscape. You mean, are we going to get attendance numbers? That's an interesting thing because the USFL didn't give attendance. The XFL did. They're going to want to talk about St. Louis. They're going to want to talk about DC, but are they going to want to talk about Michigan and Memphis? If the numbers are good, yes. If not, we're like, oh, we lost them. We forgot. So what are the TV ratings going to be? He had his prediction. Everything was kind of in that 800,000 range. Remember, you've got March Madness. The pump for this league is not huge right now. And I wonder if that's part of the reason why is like, listen, like why try to fight, basketball right now and have this huge push? Maybe we can focus, like let the league kind of get on its feet. And then, we already have a kind of built-in fan base for both leagues. If both leagues, were getting 1 million, I'm hopeful over 1 million. But it will be interesting to see with March Madness. But I'm hopeful for over 1 million. I'll be tuned into every game. Appreciate the phone call. As always, 888-430-7692, extension 3. A couple other things. So we talked about the mobile app. That is out there. It could be live any moment. UFL Forum. Definitely, be on the forum. If there's a watch party you're going to, we're keeping it low key this year. I'm playing drums at church actually on Sunday. So the game will be starting while we're putting the drums away. We were going to go to Disney and all this other stuff. So it kind of worked out that I'm going to be home. I really need to be home to monitor News Hub Fantasy, monitor the website, be on social media for the games, but I will be at the DC Defenders game on Sunday. Whether my wife comes, she's feeling better every day. Whether we stay the full game, whether we go, I don't know. It's kind of up to her at this point. But I have a feeling she's going to be at the game, and it's going to be great to see her there. I'm going to get emotional just for her being at the game. She was like, oh, I think I might go to church on Easter Sunday. I'm playing drums at church. And I was like, I want you to be here. I think that's fantastic that you're coming. People are going to want to talk to you. That's great. I'm going to be playing drums. Basically, if you're a church drummer, it's like, the Super Bowl of playing in front of people is Easter and Christmas. And so, I played at Christmas. Now I'm playing for Easter. And I was like, having you walk in, knowing what we went through just like a month ago, for you walking into church is going to make me emotional. So I want you to come, but I don't want you. It's like, maybe you just hide, like wear like a hood or something. So I just don't see you. So, but she might come, she might not. So, and that goes with the game too. At least the game is outside. We just don't want her to get sick with all the treatment that she's going through, but she's a trooper. Also, you guys are a trooper. I just checked with all the craziness going on, the UFL season, stuff going on with my wife. We reached over 7,000 subscribers. So I appreciate you guys for subscribing. Make sure you like and subscribe to the show. Trying to think of anything else. So yeah, that's really about it. Oh, question of the week. We're going to have a question of the week. Bring it back. It's very simple, not very complicated. I think you guys will figure it out. Who's winning the UFL championship this season? I'm going to go with the Battlehawks. Let me know what you think. I think Birmingham and Battlehawks would be fantastic. For the sake of the league, I think St. Louis needs to be in the championship game. That dome would be packed because not only would you have all of St. Louis, Missouri there, but you would also have all the fans from other leagues, all the fans from Texas and Birmingham, DC. We would all go up there and check out the game. So super excited about that. Hopeful that we can go. I might go solo. I don't know just yet. We'll have to kind of see how that goes there. So, and then we've got News Hub Fantasy. Again, we got our fantasy league. If you want to be, but we already got our fantasy league booked up. Whoever wins the UFL News Hub Fantasy UFL Listener League, they're going to get some merch. So you guys know who you are. Appreciate you signing up. You're going to get some merch. We have a writers league as well. Both of those drafts are happening tonight. Fingers crossed the thing works. And I have put out on there, I'm like, there's only one person that is working on this, and that's just me. So I appreciate that. Also, let me know if you guys want to do a Monday show, a Sunday night show. I might do a recap show. Basically, maybe I have to see how the ESPN UFL Today's numbers look. You got to remember, like if they're getting like 20 people looking at it, then if I do a video, it's not going to get 20 people. So I might do something Sunday night. I might do it Monday morning, just kind of wrapping up the picks. I don't know yet, but let me know if we want to go double shows. I've done double shows with the USFL, did double shows with the XFL. The Monday show didn't really do anything versus the show before. So I don't know. I'm trying to also spend time with the wife and family, etc. We'll see about that. That's to be determined, but let me know what you think. What would you want in a secondary as well? Check out the site as well. Also, I want to point out our schedule is up. If you check out our schedule, it not only has all of the betting stuff, but it's got the channel and attendance is all on the schedule. So we'll be keeping track of all that. And also, you can get individual schedules. You can get the Arlington Renegades, DC Defenders, and you can install that on your phone and put it on your Outlook or your Gmail. Wanted to point that as well. Listener League. And if you want to be part of our DraftKings League, message me, podcast at UFL News Hub. All right, my friends, that is it. We'll see you at Springstock on Saturday. Enjoy the games. It's been a long road to get here. God is good. God's got this when it comes to my wife. I can't tell you, I've been more closer to God than ever before. Excited about giving blood. I don't care if 0 people do it. We already got a couple people in. So, trying to take something negative and make it into a positive. And like she says, God's got this. And I thank all of you guys for your prayers because it made a difference. She's still here and she's doing much better. And I believe that is because of you guys and your prayers. So that's it for me, folks. Enjoy week 1. We will talk to you next week. And that's it for me, folks. And I will see you all later. God bless.